Hey, amateur here. I'm an indie filmmaker for 25 years. In this video I want to talk about the amateur versus professional debate, because online I can see it quite a few times, popping up like, can you consider yourself a professional or not? For the longest time I had this fear of saying that I'm a professional filmmaker because I just didn't go to film school. I was never accepted and I had to learn everything by myself. And back then when I started to make movies, like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was no YouTube, full of tutorials like, this is how you make a movie look, cinematic, this is how you set up your lights. There was nothing like that. I had to learn everything by myself, or I had to buy books, and I had to try to find behind the scenes DVD extras when I rented something from the video store. So that was the way I learned it. And of course, the way to learn the craft is to do the craft. So I made several short films and stuff like that. And of course, they were not, they were full of mistakes and there were a lot of problems with them. But that was the way to learn the mistakes. Every mistake was very expensive because I had to do it in order to figure out that it doesn't work the way I imagined it. But I also learned it, I think, in a much deeper kind of sense, because it just was that much more impactful if I made a mistake, because I realized that the movie is not going to work like this, or I cannot do what I imagined I can do. So I had to scale down my expectations and my vision. But it helped me learn to think in a creative way, and it helped me to think in a way like, okay, it's not like, I want this, so let's get the budget for it, but like, I have this kind of budget, let's figure out what we can do from this. So it was a lot about compromises, but I think most of these are creative compromises, because if you can figure out a way that you can make it work, you can basically, you can work with very little if you use it in the right way. That's what I learned, in my early years, basically doing everything by myself and figuring out stuff as I go and as I make those mistakes. And also, I always had the romantic idea about big budget film shooting, that that everybody knows exactly what they have to do. The director has a perfect vision, and every member of the crew knows exactly what they have to do, and they deliver perfectly, and it's just like a well-oiled machine from start to finish. And it turned out that it's not. Like, I was like around 20 years old when the first time when I was in a big budget film shooting with like 50 people crew there, and I was just basically an outsider watching it. And I remember they wanted to get some pigeons to fly off some kind of windowsill, and it was just the longest wait, because it just didn't want to happen the way the director imagined it. Basically 50 people were waiting for these pigeons to fly away in a certain way, and it just didn't work out. So and then I realized that they have the same kind of struggles than indie filmmakers and amateur filmmakers do. Just the scale is different, is bigger. Of course, they are professional in a way that they know their craft and they know how to solve a certain problem. Maybe they can solve it faster than you can because you don't have the experience, but they have the same kind of struggles as you would have, or I would have, as a rookie and amateur filmmaker. What is really the difference between a professional and an amateur? And like, the textbook thing is like, amateurs do things because they love to do things, like they enjoy it and it's like a hobby for them, and professionals do it for livelihood, and of course they studied what they are doing. But like, I think there's a huge overlap between these two bubbles, where like amateurs can become professionals, and some professionals are really just amateurs with big budget money. So it's not so black and white and not so clear cut that you can just say that I am this or that or whatever. And that's why I'm using for myself the term indie filmmaker. I never use professional filmmaker. Also, I don't use amateur filmmaker, because I think I'm over that. I would never really consider calling myself a professional just because I never went to film school, just because I'm not that kind of dude who can just write a script and send it to the government or whoever, and they're just going to give me money and they're just going to fund my film. I don't work that way. I make everything happen by myself or with my producing partner, and that's the way how we do it, because that's the only way how we can do it. Nobody's going to help us. When I was around 22, I made my first and last and only ever producer financed short film, which was titled Lag. It's a sci-fi mystery kind of 7-minute long short film, and it was quite successful on film festivals. It got the Best Editing Award on the New York Short Film Festival back in 2002 or 3. So it was a nice little success for me. And after that, I met with some other producers, and I wrote a script which was titled Block 66, and it was a zombie war horror kind of film, and they actually really liked it, and they were ready to finance this film. And we were actually in pre-production for like 2 years, and we got like a Spanish partner and a Canadian partner, so it was an international co-production. Not the highest budget, but like, you know, it was a lot more than I ever expected to get on my own. And we were in pre-production for 2 years. We were location scouting, we were meeting with actors, we were doing storyboards. We actually shot like a short proof of concept kind of thing for the film, and after 2 or 3 years the whole thing just fell apart. One of the producers' partners, they turn out to be fake, or they turn out to be, you know, not honest in this whole thing, so the financing just fell through and the whole project just collapsed. So that was like 2.5 years of my life just went down the drain. But it made me realize that, you know, if I want to have something done, I have to do it by myself. This is how indies do. So I have to learn how to be a producer. I have to learn how to be a distributor, a promoter, or a marketer, or whatever. Like, you know, and that's the harsh reality. You cannot really be only a film director or only an artist if you're an indie and you want to get somewhere. You have to be all those things together and do the job, and try to figure it out in a way so that your artistic vision is not, you know, compromised by all these other hats that you have to wear. You have to tone down your own expectations, and you have to like figure it out what works for you. And yeah, there's going to be some harsh reality checks there for sure when you're there and you're figuring it out, because everybody had their dream. Like, I had my dream of becoming a Hollywood film director, of huge sets and working with famous actors and you know, traveling all around the world and stuff like that. But that's like a romantic illusion, which can happen, but the chances of that are 0.0000001% or something like that, right? But it doesn't, you know, you don't have to be that. At the end of the day, if you get to tell your story the way you want to tell you, so your vision can shine through and can be realized in a production, whether it's a short film, a feature film, a documentary, or whatever, you are already winning at being a filmmaker, right? Because you are making films. So that's like the most important thing. I don't really like the kind of people who are always waiting for like the perfect moment, like when I will have the budget and the crew and the equipment and the actors and stuff like that. I think you should just do it. You know, if you have an idea, scale out the idea so you can do it by yourself or with just a few friends, or you know, whatever, and make that film from start to finish. Finish it and then watch it. You're going to learn so much from it, even if you don't show it to anybody afterwards, even if you just upload it to YouTube or whatever, or even if you don't do that, just to make it for yourself so you can watch it with your friends and you can learn from it. You're already making those steps, you know, towards becoming a real filmmaker who can like deliver their vision and realize their vision and make something interesting, make something that will stay there. So I'm a filmmaker for more than 20 years. I made more than a dozen short films so far, like 50 music videos, a lot of shorter documentaries. Last year I made a feature documentary and a feature art house horror film, which is actually just will be released in a few months online, and we're just going to have like a screening in a month or so. So I'm already a filmmaker for more than 20 years, but I actually just feel like this whole journey is actually just starting now, because until this point I was making short films, and short films are fun, short films are good, but like, don't really expect those short films to make your career. For me, they were much more about learning the craft itself and understanding the connection between your initial vision and the final film, that the final product that you actually made. And there's a big difference between that, and you have to understand that it's a transformative process to get from A to Z when you're making a film, and there's no other way to understand that process than to just do a film or to do several films. And now I'm starting to feel confident that I know that if I have a certain vision and idea, then I can make it work in a certain way. Maybe not exactly the way I envisioned it, but I can get to the point that it's going to be a working film. So I'm really enthusiastically looking forward to my future, because I feel like, you know, once my film is out and hopefully it's going to make a bit of a dent on film festivals or a distribution or stuff like that. So I'm very, very excited to take the next step, the next big thing that I'm going to work on, because I'm quite good with short films for now. I want to make feature films, and it's just really exciting. And I got to this point basically by myself, right? I mean, I have a producing partner who I have the studio together for more than 15 years, and he's really, you know, he's helping, he's a creative dude, but we did it ourselves. We financed everything from our own pockets, and thus we can be really, really proud about it, and we can say that we are really, really independent and doing everything by ourselves. So I just wanted to share my little personal experience about, you know, how you should define yourself as a filmmaker. So whether you're an amateur or professional, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you keep doing the work, that you get up and you make your next film and you learn from it, and then you make your next film and go on from there. So yeah, just keep doing the work. Cheers.